50 million American homes have Alexa. Every day we say Alexa 150 million times. But what if Alexa witnessed a murder and stayed silent for 4 years? Los Angeles. A man was found dead in his home, doors locked from the inside, windows closed, alarm system active, no signs of forced entry. The killer was inside, but security cameras showed no one. Police arrested a suspect, the victim's former business partner. The man denied it. "I was never in that house." The jury had enough evidence, 20 years in prison, but the victim's daughter didn't believe it. "My father didn't even know that man," she said. For 4 years, no one listened. There was a witness in the house, Amazon Echo. Alexa, it heard everything. Police requested the recordings from Amazon in 2020. They obtained them with a court order. But the old technology was inadequate. Recordings were fragmented, background noise, unusable, they said. Case closed. David Harrington and Sam Reeves reanalyzed the recordings using new AI audio enhancement technology. First discovery: Alexa received 47 voice commands that night. Only 12 were in the police report. 35 commands had been deleted as system errors. They were still in Amazon's cloud storage. Second discovery: the deleted commands started 20 minutes before the murder. Alexa, turn off the lights. Alexa, lock the front door. Alexa, disable the security cameras. Alexa, set thermostat to 58 degrees. Forensic evidence. Degradation. Third discovery: the voice giving the commands matched the victim's biometric profile, 98%. But the victim was dying at that time. AI voice cloning. Someone had stolen the victim's voice and trained Alexa. Fourth discovery: the commands didn't come from the victim's Wi-Fi network. External IP. Traced to Russian proxy server, but the real source, Los Angeles, 8 miles away from another house. Remote access. Remote murder. The killer never went to the crime scene. Fifth discovery: Sam restored the last words Alexa heard. The victim's final words weren't in the official report. Alexa, call 911, please, help, command not executed. Someone had pre-programmed Alexa. Emergency calls disabled. The victim screamed in his own home. Alexa heard. But it had been silenced. Digital silence. A 4-year conspiracy. David investigated. Who cloned the victim's voice? Who hacked the smart home? Who made Amazon delete these recordings? And most importantly, was the man in prison truly innocent? Or was he one of the conspirators? The real question was, if Alexa witnessed a murder and the recordings were deleted, how many more are there? Amazon's answer: no comment. Privacy policy. March 15, 2020, 10:47 p.m. Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks neighborhood. A luxury home. 2 stories, large yard, high security. The homeowner, a 43-year-old man, had just finished dinner. He was washing dishes in the kitchen. His home was filled with cutting-edge smart home systems. Amazon Echo, Alexa in the living room, Ring video doorbell at the entrance, Nest thermostat on the wall, August smart locks on doors, Arlo security cameras in every corner, everything connected to Wi-Fi, everything recorded. At 10:53 p.m., a command came to Alexa. "Alexa, what's the weather tomorrow?" Alexa responded, "Tomorrow in Los Angeles, partly cloudy, high of 68 degrees, a normal evening." A routine question. At 11:07 p.m., another command. "Alexa, turn off the living room lights." The lights went off. The man was probably getting ready for bed. 11:14 p.m. "Alexa, lock the front door." Smart lock clicking sound. Click. 11:18 p.m. "Alexa, set alarm for 6 a.m. Alarm set for 6 a.m. Alexa said, "A normal nighttime routine," but it wasn't normal at all. 11:22 p.m. "Alexa, disable security cameras." Arlo cameras went offline. All angles went dark. 11:25 p.m. "Alexa, set thermostat to 58 degrees. The thermostat was set to an abnormally low temperature. Cold would accelerate forensic evidence degradation. 11:31 p.m. A scream from the house. No one heard it. The house was soundproofed. 11:34 p.m. Final command. "Alexa, call 911, please. Help." Alexa should have responded, should have said, calling 911, should have called emergency services, but Alexa remained silent. The command wasn't executed. 11:07 p.m. Silence. No more movement inside the house. The next morning, at 9:15 a.m., the victim's assistant came to the house. He was expected for a meeting, but wasn't answering. She rang the doorbell. No answer. She tried to enter with a spare key. The door was locked from inside. Smart lock active. She called 911. My boss can't get into the house. Something might be wrong inside. Police arrived 30 minutes later. They broke down the door, entered. The man was in the living room, sitting in a chair, dead. His eyes were open, an expression of fear frozen on his face, strangulation marks on his neck. The thermostat showed 58 degrees. The house was freezing. Rigor mortis had begun in the body, but the cold made the timeline unclear. Police swept the house. Doors locked, windows closed, alarm system active. No signs of forced entry. They checked the security cameras. All cameras had been disabled at 11:22 p.m. Last footage. Victim alone, washing dishes in the kitchen. How did the killer enter? How did they leave, and why were the cameras turned off? The detective noticed the Amazon Echo in the living room. Alexa, does this device record audio? He asked. Yes, said the tech team. It records commands. They're stored on Amazon servers. Get a court order immediately, said the detective. Alexa knows what happened that night. Police requested the recordings from Amazon. The company initially resisted. User privacy. But with a court order, the recordings were handed over. March 2020. The beginning of the pandemic. Labs were busy. Tech teams limited. The detective analyzing the Alexa recordings wasn't an audio forensics expert. The recordings arrived. 12 voice commands. Weather, lights off, lock door, set alarm. Routine commands. At 11:22 p.m., there was a camera disable command. Then nothing. The Alexa call 911 command wasn't in the recordings. Either it was never said, or the system didn't record it. The detective listened to the recordings. Lots of background noise, compression artifacts. Some parts were unintelligible, but the general picture, the victim went through his normal routine. Then something happened. Voice biometric analysis was done. All commands appeared to belong to the victim's voice. Alexa recognized the victim's voice, accepted the commands. The detective developed a theory. The victim disabled his own security system. Maybe he was expecting someone, maybe an illegal deal. Then a fight broke out. He was strangled. No murder weapon, but there were prints. Fingerprints were taken from the strangulation marks on the neck. DNA analysis was done. 3 weeks later, results came. The fingerprints belonged to the victim's former business partner. The man had a real estate dispute with the victim. In 2019, a $500,000 lawsuit. Police brought the suspect in for questioning. The man was shocked. I was never in that house, he said. Yes, we had a dispute, but it was resolved. Why would I kill him? Your fingerprints are on the victim's neck, said the detective. Explain. Impossible, said the man. I was home that night. I was watching Netflix with my wife. His wife provided an alibi, but the detective wasn't convinced. Spouses lie. Other evidence. The suspect's phone GPS data had pinged within 2 miles of the victim's house that night. The man explained, we ate at a nearby restaurant. We took an Uber home. Uber records confirmed it. But the detective said he could have gone from the restaurant to the victim's house and back. The prosecutor took the case to trial. Evidence. Rontoff stalking fingerprints on victim's neck. Financial dispute. Motive GPS proximity. Weak alibi. The jury reached a verdict after 8 days of trial. Guilty. Sentence. Second-degree murder. 20 years in prison. The man screamed in court, I didn't do it. I was never in that house. Please, re-examine the Alexa recordings. No one listened. Case closed. But the victim's 21-year-old daughter, crying at her father's funeral, whispered something. That man didn't even know my father. Something's wrong. 4 years passed. The daughter finished college, found a job, moved on with her life. But she never believed her father's real killer had been caught. November 2023, she listened to a podcast, Dark Case Files, David Harrington's investigative podcast. That week's episode, Old Technologies, New Solutions, Using AI in Cold Cases. David was talking with Sam Reeves. Sam was explaining, pre-2020 audio recordings were analyzed with the technology available at the time. Background noise couldn't be separated. Compression artifacts couldn't be restored. But now we have new AI enhancement. We can recover deleted fragments. We can extract hidden sounds. The daughter froze. Her father's house had Alexa. There were recordings, but they were never properly analyzed. She immediately emailed David. Subject, My father's murder, Alexa recordings, never properly analyzed. Message, Mr. Harrington, my father was murdered in 2020. He had Alexa in his home. Police analyzed the recordings but found nothing. A man went to prison, but I don't believe it. In your podcast, you mentioned new AI technology. Please, could you look at my father's case? David read the email, researched the case details. 2020 LA murder, smart home, Alexa recordings, quickly closed investigation, suspect imprisoned. Something caught his attention. The police report stated 12 voice commands recorded, but Amazon Echoes typically recorded much more data. Only 12 commands, too few. David called the daughter. I reviewed the file. I have some questions. Was your father tech-savvy? Yes, said the daughter. His home was completely smart. He controlled everything with voice. He used Alexa a lot. The police report shows only 12 voice commands. Is that normal? The daughter thought. No. Dad used Alexa at least 20-30 times a day. Lights, music, weather, news. Only 12 commands is impossible. David's eyes lit up. The recordings might be incomplete, or some commands might have been deleted. Is deletion possible? Amazon allows users to delete their command history, but it doesn't auto-delete. Someone has to manually delete it. Dad wouldn't delete them. He didn't even know recordings could be deleted. David fell silent, then said, I'm taking the case. I'll work with Sam Reeves, audio forensics expert. If there's anything hidden in those recordings, we'll find it. There was a secret in Amazon's cloud storage. 12 commands were in the official records, but Sam's new AI technology found 35 more, deleted, hidden, forgotten, and those commands showed step-by-step how the murder was committed. But the most shocking part, the voice giving the commands was the victim's voice, biometric 98% match, but the victim was dying at that time, so who was really speaking? December 2024, Sam Reeves received the case file from David. They requested the original recordings from Amazon again. A court order was needed for a 4-year-old cold case. Amazon initially resisted. Recordings cannot be retained per privacy policy, likely deleted. But David insisted. The court order came. Amazon searched, archived data. 2 weeks later, the response came. 12 voice command recordings found for relevant date. No additional recordings detected. Sam didn't believe it. According to Amazon's deletion policy, unless manually deleted by the user, recordings are kept for a minimum of 3 years. 35 commands can't be missing. David spoke with the legal team. Another court order, raw cloud storage data, including deleted fragments. Amazon resisted more seriously this time. Restoring deleted data is not systemically possible and creates a privacy violation. The prosecutor stepped in. This is a murder investigation. Amazon must comply. February 2024, Amazon sent an encrypted file, archived raw data, fragmented, possibly corrupted, no guarantee of usability. Sam received the file, 4.7 gigabytes of data, most encrypted, compressed, fragmented, but Sam used AI-powered audio reconstruction software. First stage, broke the encryption. They had legal permission. Second stage, restored compressed audio files. Third stage, combined fragmented commands. Fourth stage, recovered deleted fragments. Result, 47 voice commands. The official record had 12. Sam found 35 more. David came to Sam's laboratory. The command timeline appeared on the screen. Look, said Sam, pointing to the screen. The 12 commands in the official report are marked green, normal, routine commands. Weather, lights, alarm. But the ones marked red, these are deleted commands. David moved closer to the screen. The red commands started 20 minutes before the murder. 11:02 p.m. Alexa, turn off the living room lights. Deleted. 11:07 p.m. Alexa, lock the front door. Deleted. 11:14 p.m. Alexa, lock the back door. Systematically disabling the home's security. Yes, said Sam. And look, the official report has a disable cameras command, but actually there are 6 more commands before that, taking down the entire security system step by step. David frowned. Why didn't police see these commands? Because they were deleted. They weren't visible in Amazon's user interface. They only existed fragmented in deep cloud storage. Who deleted them? Sam opened another screen. I also restored the deletion logs. The commands were deleted 18 hours after the murder, March 16, 2020, 6:34 p.m. The victim was dead by then. Yes, but they were deleted from the victim's Amazon account, using username and password. David's face darkened. The killer accessed the victim's Amazon account, deleted the evidence. Correct, But they missed something. What? Sam smiled. Deleted files in cloud storage aren't actually deleted immediately. They stay fragmented until overwritten. Amazon internal policy. Deleted voice commands stay in backup for 6 months, then permanent delete. But in March 2020 there was a pandemic. Amazon postponed backup deletions to reduce server load. That's why these recordings are still there 4 years later. We're lucky, very lucky, but the really shocking part is yet to come. Sam opened the audio player. Now listen to these commands. Pay special attention to the voice tone. The first command played. Alexa, turn off the living room lights. David listened carefully. The voice sounded like the victim's, but something was off. Play it again, he said. Sam replayed it. David closed his eyes, focusing only on the sound. This voice, the tone modulation is strange, very flat, like reading. Exactly, said Sam. Natural human speech has pitch variation, but this voice is very monotone, almost robotic. Sam opened another analysis screen. It showed the waveform. Look, this is the victim's normal speech. An old Alexa command from months before the murder. See the pitch variation? Natural human voice fluctuates like this. Then she showed one of the red commands. Now look at this. Very little variation, almost flat. This is synthetic. David's heart raced. AI voice cloning? Yes. Someone cloned the victim's voice, trained a model, then used it to send commands to Alexa. But how did Alexa accept it? Doesn't it have voice recognition? It does. But 2020 Alexa voice recognition was very basic. Now it's advanced. But back then, it only did basic acoustic matching. If the voice was similar enough, it accepted it. And AI cloning could achieve 90% plus accuracy even then. David jumped up. So the killer cloned the victim's voice, fooled Alexa, sent commands remotely, disabled the security system, then entered the house. Or didn't. What do you mean? Sam opened the final screen. IP address analysis. Look where these commands were sent from. On the screen were IP logs. David read, command source IP 74.125.224.exec, Los Angeles, CA. Distance from victim's home, 8.2 miles. The commands weren't sent from the victim's home, said Sam. They were sent from 8 miles away. Remote access, David whispered. The killer never went to the crime scene. Sam and David traced the IP address. It could have come through VPN or proxy, but this IP showed a direct connection. Address, Los Angeles, Sherman Oaks, 8.2 miles north of the victim's home, an apartment building. David called Elena Cortez. I have an address. Who was living at this address in March 2020? Elena researched public records, tenant databases, utility bills. 2 days later, she responded. 3 tenants were at that address in March 2020. One is now in another state. Another died, unrelated. Cancer. The third. Elena paused. What? The third person was the victim's former office colleague. They worked at the same tech startup from 2018-2019. What's interesting, this person has an audio engineering background, studied sound design and voice synthesis in college. David's hair stood on end. Capable of doing voice cloning. Yes, and one more thing. This person was a witness in the victim's real estate dispute, testified in the 2019 lawsuit. Which side? On the side of the man currently in prison. The puzzle was coming together. David turned to Sam. There's a person, audio engineering knowledge, knew the victim, knew the imprisoned man, and lived 8 miles from where the commands originated on the night of the murder. Is that enough to charge them? No, but it's a start. Continue the audio analysis. I'll investigate this person. Sam continued examining the voice cloning details. Something caught her attention. One of the deleted commands couldn't be restored. The fragment was too corrupted, but there was something strange in its metadata. File name, emergencydisabled.mp3. Timestamp, 11:28 p.m. Duration, 4 seconds. Status, corrupted. Partial recovery possible. Sam used the most aggressive setting of the AI reconstruction software. Static, noise, garbled sound. But she extracted something. The victim's voice. Alexa, call 911. Please, help. Then another voice. Different, not synthetic. A real human voice, but very quiet, in the background. No emergency calls. Disable. Sam isolated that voice. Did frequency analysis. Created a voice print. Then she found an old podcast interview of the person Elena had identified, talking about the tech startup. She did a voice print match. 87% match. Sam called David. I found the victim's last words. He tried to say, call 911, but another voice interrupted, said disable emergency calls. And that voice is your suspect's. The killer was never in the house. They hacked the smart home remotely, cloned the victim's voice, disabled the security system. Then, but one question remained unanswered. If the killer didn't enter the house, how was the victim strangled? Whose fingerprints were on the neck? And the imprisoned man, was he truly innocent, or was he one of the conspirators? The truth was much darker. David called the suspect, the former office colleague, in for questioning. He came with a lawyer. "Where were you in March 2020? David asked. "At home. It was the beginning of the pandemic. Lockdown. I was always home. At your apartment in Sherman Oaks." The man hesitated. "Yes." David showed the IP logs. "This is your IP address. From March 15th, 2020, 11:02 p.m. to 11:28 p.m., 35 commands were sent to the victim's Alexa from this IP." The man went pale. I didn't do it. "We have voice analysis. When the victim said call 911, you said disable emergency calls. We have the audio recording." The man put his head in his hands. A long silence. Then he spoke. "Okay, yes, I did it, but I didn't kill him." David leaned forward. "Explain." The man took a deep breath. "In 2019, there was a real estate dispute. The victim and the imprisoned man, they were partners. A deal fell through. A $500,000 issue. The imprisoned man came to me. He said, 'Can you hack the victim's Alexa? I want to listen to his house. He might be stealing business secrets.' Continue. I'm an audio engineer. I know voice synthesis. I cloned the victim's voice from old podcasts, videos. I hacked Alexa through Wi-Fi. I got into the victim's Amazon account. I could send commands. Why? Money. The man paid me $50,000. He said, 'Just listen. Report to me.' What happened on the night of March 15th? The man's hands were shaking. The man texted me, 'I'm going to the victim's house tonight. We'll talk. Disable Alexa. No recordings.' So I hacked the system, turned off the cameras, silenced Alexa. 'Why did you disable emergency calls?' The man wanted it. 'If something goes wrong, we'll block 911 calls.' He said. I objected, but the man threatened me. 'Either you do it or I expose you,' he said. David fell silent, then asked, 'Did the man enter the house?' 'I don't know. I only hacked the system. I don't know what happened after.' 'Who deleted the recordings?' 'Me.' The next day the man said, 'The victim is dead. Delete the recordings, or we're both going down.' I deleted them. But I didn't kill him. I swear, I only hacked the system. That man is the killer." David re-interrogated the imprisoned man. Lawyers requested a retrial due to new evidence. For the first time in 4 years, the man told the truth. "Yes, I went to the victim's house that night. I knocked. He didn't answer. I knew the smart lock code. He was my old partner. I went in. I wanted to talk, wanted to resolve the dispute. But I found him dead." David looked skeptical. "You found him dead?" "Yes, he was sitting in the chair, not moving. I approached, checked his pulse. Nothing. He was dead. Then I panicked. My fingerprints were everywhere. I'd touched his neck, checking for a pulse. I knew police would blame me. I ran. Why didn't you confess?" "Because no one would believe me. I found him dead. Who would believe that? Evidence was against me. My lawyer said, 'Stay quiet. Maybe you'll get lucky and go free.' I didn't." David thought. The two men's statements matched each other. One hacked remotely, the other arrived at the house, and the victim was already dead. But how did the victim die? Sam re-examined the autopsy report. Strangulation marks, but no defensive wounds. The victim hadn't fought back. Sam thought of another possibility. What if the victim strangled himself? Suicide? No, but smart home devices. David didn't understand. Sam explained. The victim's home had August smart locks, Google Nest thermostat, Alexa, Ring, all connected to Wi-Fi. If someone hacked the entire system, what could they do? Smart curtains, automated drapes. If they're at neck level and remotely tightened, they could create a strangulation mechanism. David examined the victim's home floor plan. There were motorized curtains in the living room. Original installation. Can the curtain mechanism be remotely tightened? Yes, if hacked, and if someone triggers it at exactly the right moment, when the victim is sitting near the curtain. David closed his eyes. The scene replayed in his mind. The victim sitting in the chair, commands coming from Alexa, lights turning off, doors locking. He starts getting scared, says, "Alexa, call 911." But Alexa doesn't respond. Then the curtains move. Motorized mechanism, wraps around the victim's neck, tightens, remote control. The victim struggles but can't break free. He's strangled. The killer is 8 miles away, at a computer, using a smart home app, watching, waiting. The victim dies. 20 minutes later, the imprisoned man arrives at the house, finds the victim dead, panics, runs, fingerprints remain, he's charged, goes to prison. The real killer stays free. For 4 years, David went to the prosecutor with the new findings. 2 arrests, audio engineer, accessory to murder, hacking, evidence tampering, real killer still uncertain, but someone with full access to the victim's smart home. But one question remained unanswered. What was Amazon's role? David told Elena, Amazon knew the recordings were deleted. Why did they give incomplete data when police requested them in 2020? Elena investigated. Internal emails, corporate memos, legal communications. Shocking finding. Amazon had started an internal investigation in 2020 about deleted voice commands. Voice commands of 150+ users had been deleted by unauthorized third parties. Hacking. Amazon knew about it, but didn't disclose it to the public. It was noted as reputation risk. The victim's case was one of those 150 cases. Amazon had only given police available data, didn't mention deleted fragments, used privacy policy as an excuse. Elena found a former Amazon employee, whistleblower, left the company in 2021. Amazon knew, said the employee, there was a smart home hack epidemic, but disclosing it would have dropped the stock price. Legal team decision, minimum disclosure. David filed formal charges against Amazon, obstruction of justice, withholding evidence. Amazon legal team resisted. We complied with court orders. Deleted data was not explicitly requested in 2020. Technically true, but ethically catastrophic. Media picked up the story. Headlines ran, Amazon hid evidence in murder case. Amazon stock dropped. CEO apologized. We are reviewing our data retention and law enforcement cooperation policies. But for the victim, it was too late. May 2024. Trial proceedings. The imprisoned man. All charges dropped. Wrongfully imprisoned for 4 years. Filed a compensation lawsuit. Audio engineer. Guilty. Accessory to murder. Hacking. Evidence tampering. 15 years in prison. The real killer. Sam's forensic analysis proved the smart home curtain mechanism hack. But no direct murder evidence could be found. The motorized curtain system had been replaced in 2020. No physical evidence. The prosecutor tried the case with circumstantial evidence. Goldfish, Rontods, voice analysis, motive financial. It was discovered he was the beneficiary of the victim's life insurance. Opportunity, smart home expertise. The jury reached a verdict after a 3-week trial. Guilty, first-degree murder, premeditated. Sentence, life in prison. The victim's daughter cried in the courtroom. Justice after 4 years. David spoke with the daughter outside the courthouse. Your father has found peace, David said. The daughter nodded. Thank you. Without you, we would never have known. When David returned to the office with Sam and Elena, there was a new email. Subject, my husband's smart home death. Message, Mr. Harrington. My husband died at home in 2021. They said heart attack. But that day, Alexa was acting strange. It was misunderstanding commands. Lights were turning on and off by themselves. Please, could you look into it? Sam looked at the screen. Another case. David nodded. Amazon said there were 150+ hacks. How many were murders? Elena searched on her screen. 2020-24. Unexplained death in smart homes. 47 cases. Most closed as natural death. We need to examine all of them, David said. Sam looked at her device. Alexa, how many murders have you witnessed? Alexa responded, I'm sorry, I don't have information on that. The three looked at each other. David turned to the camera. 50 million homes have Alexa, listening every day, recording every day. And some things are never really deleted. Is your smart home protecting you or opening the door for someone watching you? Alexa is listening. But do you know who it's listening to?